YouTube. Start video transmission.
You need like a space rocket countdown.
5, 4, 3. We were live 10 seconds ago. 2, 1. We'll give everyone a few seconds to jump in. But yeah, we are live.
Heck yeah.
Oh, there we go. I just heard myself twice there for a second because I had it on my YouTubes. I'll tell you what, having two monitors just changes everything. About like doing this all on one monitor. I don't understand how I did it.
It's like, I can see everything at once. I am omniscient.
Wow.
I can control the information on the screen. Very cool.
Very nice.
Indeed. Let's have a look here. In the meanwhile, in the meantime, in the happenstance.
In between times.
Good. Welcome back, everybody. It's time for another stream. The stream that will go down in history as one of the streams that happened today. Hello, Jonathan. Hello, Sanya. Hello, Sweeterette. Message retracted. Hi, Blair. Thank you for setting up the stream. Yeah. This is great. This is I like to hope that this is a fairly relaxed and informal sort of thing. That
certainly.
No major pressure on everybody, but it's wonderful for you guys to see you here. Hope you're doing all right, and that whatever's going on, you are finding a degree of peace and rest amidst it all.
Yeah, wonderful to be here. Super hype.
Yeah.
Welcome to you too.
Exciting and
Yeah. Excuse me. This is exactly what I was just talking about. What were you saying, Star?
No, you're good. I was just excited. That's all.
Amazing. Yeah, cool. So, before we do continue, because we do, there are a few notices to get through at the beginning of the stream. Did I close the Google Drive doc? I closed the Google Drive doc. That's such a freaking Wookiee mistake. You know, I thought that C-3PO was the big brown hairy one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That was a Wookiee mistake.
A Wookiee mistake. Oh, I see what you did there.
Oh, that's great.
That's a good one.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for watching. It's great to see you. Hope you're doing okay. It's been a crazy, crazy year, and we hope, beyond hope, that's in some way the Fandom Lives can give you an element of peace. Obviously, keeping the space open and friendly and respectful, spamming in chat and stuff. But, oh, wow, power move. No. I know none of you, but I care you all. That's very kind of you to say.
Very kind.
You know, I see through the grammar. Anyway, cool. Keep it open. Keep it kind. Do ask us questions at any point. We'll try to get to them. Obviously, because we're juggling a load of stuff, we're talking. There's a video game that's going to be in the background here as well. Just bear that in mind that we might not necessarily get to your question. It's not because we hate you. It's because this is crazy what we're doing right now. So thank you for bearing with us. TwoAllNighters merch is now on sale. Please check the description of the stream below for details of our spring page. Lots of stuff, including a hoodie, a face mask, lots of groovy things on for sale. So do
swag.
Yeah, lots of swag. When Comic-Con finally comes back, I will just be wearing everything. Walking around. I'll be like a rolling snowball of TwoAllNighters merch. And you can do too. So yeah. Please ask us questions, of course, during the stream. Please at us in the chat if you want to be clear. We won't necessarily get to your question. Thank you for bearing with us. If you would like someone to appear on another episode of The Fandom Lives, let me know on Discord through the TwoAllNighters fan server. I will ask whoever. Looks like we might have a plan in place for the rest of this, I'm going to put this in quotation marks, season of The Fandom Lives. We're looking at about 13, 14 episodes at the moment. That might go up. But yeah, thank you for bearing with us as we plan in the manner of that Gromit gif. Have you guys seen Wallace and Gromit? You know what I'm talking about, right?
I mean,
I
Wallace
love
and Gromit.
Wallace and Gromit.
I don't know if I know the GIF you're speaking of.
So you know the bit that where like they're having a chase scene through their house on the model railway,
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
and Gromit is like putting rail down as the
Oh,
train is
yes,
going
yes.
forward. That's how I plan. Period. That's how I plan.
Flying by the seat of your pants.
Yeah.
Indeed. So thank you so much for bearing with me, and you know the stream seems to be, you know, going okay, and we've had lots of amazing guests, including of course GonerBoy and Star, and we'll talk to you guys in a bit. After this, I'm going to jump into the Discord voice chat in the TwoAllNighters fan server. You two are definitely welcome to join me. I'm springing this on you without previously warning. If you have the time, that's fine. If not, no worries. We have taken to playing games like Quiplash, and then last time we played a bit of Among Us as well afterwards, trying to figure out the new big map.
Wow.
I say it's new. Obviously, it's been a little while, but yeah. So we may play games like that. We actually ended up settling on the tag version of Among Us. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Oh, yeah.
When there's one murderer and they say who they are and they have to chase everyone down.
Yeah, it's like hide and seek.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very cool. So maybe, hopefully, some of you guys joining us today can join us for a bit of that. The last thing to say is thank you so much to, well, this week to GonerBoy for developing and drawing the artwork that you see on the screen before you. You drew yourself and Star. Nice work. I really appreciate that. It gives the stream a little bit more of a bit of flair, a bit of character. Yeah. So
I don't know how these things usually work, so I hope that they're acceptable for the format.
I mean, it looks pretty good to me. I showed you guys earlier on. Hopefully, it's at least.
Oh, Vixen, you were supposed to draw it? Oh no, I'm so I completely misunderstood.
He took a dib. He took my dib. No. Wish, good to see you. Wish drew the version of me that you see on the screen in front of you, and is also in chat. So shower her with praise at your leisure. Continue. And also thank you to Nick Nitro, who developed, along with me, the music for the video presentations that you are about to see at the beginning and the end of this stream. So, without...
Very good job on yours, your avatar.
Oh, yeah, totally. Wish is super cool. Wish is super cool.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
And don't worry. What? Meow. What? Meow. Da, 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 da. I'll get to Wish. We will get to Wish on the Fandom Lives, but not yet. First, the introduction sequence of The Phantom Lives. Oh my god.
Ooh.
And scene. We are back. Welcome back. Gartic Phone is in chat, and I'm for that. I haven't played Gartic Phone yet, but I hear it's brilliant. Let's give it a go. Let's give it a go after this. But first, let's get this video game out. I'm supposed to be playing Deltarune. How's that look, everybody? That look alright? We have a couple of sunbathing monsters.
I think we gotta share the stream so we can watch it.
Oh yeah, that's good. I'm not sure if if the internet on my end is strong enough to kind of
Oh, I see.
cope with that.
I can just watch on the actual video.
I mean,
Yeah, I can pull it up.
It would be pretty delayed. I'm sorry about that, but
Yeah, no problem.
yeah. When the rune is Delta.
Indeed, Bowtie.
But no, this is basically just meant to be background, right? I'm gonna actually turn this down a bit so that this is going to be in the background of the stream while we discuss you guys, right? This is your guys' opportunity to step forward and to give us a bit of an insight into who you are and what you do in this crazy thing we call a fandom.
Indeed,
So-
this Frankenstein's monster, the conglomeration of different types of people.
10,000 times resuscitated husk
Yeah.
that was once Undertale and has now become unrecognizable. I love that. Talk to us about Goner. Obviously, I'll ask you first, but Star, of course, you can chime in. Who the devil are you two, and what the devil do you do around here?
It's a very good question. Why should you care who we are? Well, we are. Well, I'm GonerBoy, and this is Stargazer88. She is my sister.
Hello. Yep.
And we make this comic online called Delta Experiment, which is basically a comic set in the world of Deltarune with the hometown, but it has a few twists to it, where it has a couple of things from Undertale. For instance, Chris is replaced with Frisk, and there's a story that's kind of an all-new story that plays out in the town of the world. Kind of the premise is that Gaster has made this connection with our world, and every once in a while there is a survey that is given to the audience to decide the course of the story and the actions that Frisk is going to take next.
Yeah, we really like the idea of the fans being able to interact with the comic, kind of like, people get to control the character in Undertale, and that plays a huge part in the story and the narrative. So we decided to make these kind of surveys so that people can be more connected to the comic than in other comics, I guess.
Right, and so it's not like quite an Ask blog. It's more of taking the survey from the beginning of Deltarune and kind of teased in Gaster's tweets and turning it into more of a reality.
Oh, cool.
Along the way stuff happens.
Totally. So you're advocates for audience participation shaping the plot, as it were.
Certainly, at least to an extent.
Oh,
we have
It's kind of
mainly,
hard to do it quickly.
yeah. It's not to the level of some Ask blogs where it's kind of just an improv story where people send stuff in and you make whatever. We have a lot more of a structured story, and we just give kind of a couple of different paths that people are able to take every once in a while.
Okay, so you have to balance having a story in your own mind and that you guys are planning, and marry that up with obviously the cool factor of the audience can make a choice and it influences things.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of the times the audience choices influence how an event happens versus whether an event will happen.
Oh, okay. I mean, I could ask for an example, but that would spoil the comic, and maybe there are people here who haven't read it yet. And
it's true.
Is there a low stakes example that you guys can think of?
Yeah,
I mean, maybe like the first one, right? The first.
Yeah,
choice.
I suppose so. I guess like in chapter 1, there's a choice where you see something interesting in an alleyway, and you can choose either to investigate it, or you can choose to go and kind of do as your mother says and go home safely, to go visit your father instead, do something nice. I guess in chapter 2 is probably a better example where, without saying too much, there's some entity that you need to fight against, and you get to choose your weapon of choice from either the gun from Undertale, the empty gun, or the frying pan, and that kind of affects what costumes you put on as you fight this monster.
Oh, cool.
Stuff
cool.
like that.
Cool. And when is the loot box mechanic going to be brought in? No, I'm kidding. Oh, man.
Not until chapter 16. No, but
Oh yeah, that's a good question. How many chapters have you done so far?
yeah, so we finished chapter 2. We're in the middle of chapter 3. in my opinion, if you have not read the comic, chapter 3 is where things really start to get good and where the story really starts to pick up with its premise. So if you can get through chapter 1 and 2, the artwork, the writing, the everything gets way better in chapter 3. But overall, we have, I'd say, eight right star, eight chapters planned for the
like
main
7 or
sort of
8.
story.
Okay.
But we have a lot of stuff planned. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, that's
Way
great.
too much planned. Way too much.
Okay. Oh man, there's a lot of follow-ups that I could take here, and they're all really exciting. Talk to us about like the reception that you've had to the comic. Do you feel it's popular? Like, what's your metric for that?
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, I feel like we started this comic a while ago. Well, it was only Goner at the time. And back then, it wasn't really super popular. Like, there'd be like 50 likes on one batch.
Which isn't bad.
It's not bad to start out with, but it was just kind of like that. Now it's starting to slowly kind of pick up, and we have people that talk to us on Discord and that say that they really like the comic. Lately, we've been getting a little bit more, a little bit more popularity. So I think that the popularity is going up. I don't know how much, we're on the popular level. Like, I don't know if I would say that we're popular, but certainly people like us and it's appreciated.
There is a following of Delta Experiment, which is very nice.
Yeah.
It's honestly very cool that there's this kind of little community which is starting up. I feel like the Tumblr blog has like I think about 1,700 followers, which is kind of amazing. It's Delta Experiment is one of those AUs. I mean, I wouldn't know if I really call it an AU, but it's one of those comics where it's not like on the level of something like Growth Spurt or Paper Trail, but it's a little more. It's certainly more well known than kind of just your average swap AU or whatever,
Yeah.
It is certainly a very unique sort of story where I haven't really seen anyone do this kind of thing with the framing of the story and the themes of the story of this certain take on it, I guess.
The take of there being
of
a...
having...
Sorry, yeah, go for it.
No, you can ask a question.
I guess I'm asking for more detail about what that take is. Like,
yeah.
Go for it.
That kind of goes into a little bit of spoilers, but that's probably okay. Like, kind of the idea of Delta Experiment is it's all about the light world of Deltarune. It's all about the town. It's all about the town's people. It's all about the kids who are the main characters and the lives of the people that they're intertwined with. It's almost like a slice of life comic with some mystery elements that are put into it. And there's kind of a lot of drama that goes into the characters and their relationships with one another. And I don't feel like I've seen really a comic do that sort of thing with like a overarching story like that. Kind of the main premise. I guess I'll probably describe the main premise of the first 3 chapters. Chapter 1 is kind of just an introduction. It's not super. Frisk and Asriel are little kids, and they go to school. They learn about their new principal in school is Dr. Gaster, and he seems very kind of eccentric and mysterious. They meet a new friend in Monster Kid, and they go home. That's kind of just chapter 1. Chapter 2 is Monster Kid overhears this conversation in a teacher's lounge about some zombie that's hiding out in the town, or some sort of mysterious creature that no one really knows exactly what it is. But over the course of the story, it's kind of revealed that this zombie is actually another human child that gets taken in, and these kids kind of now have to deal with their whole lives being turned upside down with this new family member that's being introduced that's messing up all their playtime with their very violent ways. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's all about the dynamics between the characters.
I think that there's definitely something in Undertale, isn't there? The meta narrative layer. So the notion that you've talked about earlier, that Gaster has discovered a connection between the world of the game and our world, the world of the players. And that I share your fascination, like the notion that those things can be connected.
Oh yeah.
Do you guys play Dungeons and Dragons?
I do a little bit. I started my first campaign with friends a couple months ago.
Okay, how's it going?
Going pretty well.
Awesome.
It's pretty fun. We're on break now because a bunch of people have moved back since it's summer and school's not in.
Hang on, you're on your summer break?
Yeah, or at least, yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
America does things so early. That's mad. Sorry,
Indeed.
Yeah.
just a humble Brit, just sort of bemoaning the fact that we're still at school. Anyway,
Yikes.
yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is that level, I guess, of between the fictional world and the real world being kind of traversed is something that I'm always quite interested in. I guess, like,
Yeah.
in D&D, for instance, you know, don't know if you have somebody having a bizarre religious experience in which they suddenly become aware of the fact that they're characters in a game. You know, the Matrix is the same.
The Awakening.
Yeah, totally. Just like little elements like that. If player characters become uber powerful, they can almost break free. I don't know. Maybe that's a bit weird, but
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, that's kind of the one of the concepts behind Jevil, it seems like, is kind of that awareness so that your world isn't real and what that can do to a person's psyche and how that can make them feel like nothing matters and therefore they can go and do whatever the heck they want.
yeah, totally.
It's that feeling of inhibition that comes from knowing that this is not a real world that leads to the suspension of disbelief and unwillingness to acknowledge consequences that makes the genocide route possible in Undertale.
Totally, and it's the whole shtick with Sans, right? Sans is exactly the same.
Right.
Super cool. All right, so you're a webcomic. I mean, you're the artist and the writer? Is that right?
Yeah. So, Star, do you want to explain kind of how that works?
Yeah, so I can't really draw that well. I mean, I'm okay, but like,
Nonsense.
not enough to be like a comic worthy thing. So I don't do any of the drawing. I do help with the writing and the story concepts, and Goner just kind of inputs them and kind of tweaks the dialogue a little bit and stuff like that.
Yeah, so essentially we come up with the ideas of the story together, and then I'll sketch out how the batch goes, put some dialogue, and I'll go, "Hey Star, what do you think of this?" And she goes, maybe we should put a little thing here where this happens or whatever. And then we finalize it, and then I'll finish up all the artwork, make it look nice and pretty, and then we post it.
Yeah, that's
Very
a
cool.
better way of explaining it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's worth asking. I mean, let me refer to the list. Cool. So we talked about who you are and like a little bit of insight into your creative process. Have you guys did you guys have any practice with like a project like this before, or is this your first foray into like a regular webcomic?
First one. We've come up with a. Yeah, you can go, Star.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we've come up with a lot of stories just kind of for ourselves, where we'll come up with characters and come up with some events, but we've never really written any of it down or certainly not published any of it to the internet. This is our first storytelling experience that's actually being shown to the world, and I think it's really kind of been an enlightening experience on how these things are made, and I think we've learned a lot about storytelling and how these things sort of work from it.
Yeah,
Okay.
especially about like comic making too. Like Goner started this comic like 2 or 3 years ago, and then kind of cut it off because he felt like
Right.
it wasn't going very well. And already, kind of the feeling of the comic making has been much easier this time around.
Right. Like if you didn't know, this is actually the reboot of the original Delta Experiment, which was made in 2019.
Okay.
But there's a whole story behind how Delta Experiment was conceptualized and started and then scrapped and then restarted.
Okay. I mean, something obviously had to change in order for that scrap project to get revived. and for it to kind of be
Yeah.
gaining momentum. What was it that changed?
That's a good question. I guess to answer that question, it's kind of hard without explaining kind of how the project got started. Do you mind if I go on a giant tangent?
Of course, this is what the fandom does. No, seriously, go for it.
Okay.
Go for it. Go for it.
Uh, Star, if you have anything to interject as well.
Yeah, of course.
It's a long story. So
Yeah.
Delta Experiment has its roots in kind of how I got into the Undertale fandom to begin with, where what I would do is, after I played the game, I really liked it, and so I would go on to the Minecraft server Hypixel, where they have little housing plots where people can build things, and some people would make Undertale maps and then do roleplay stuff on them. So I would go around and roleplay with some people on these Undertale maps. And I met some friends. We kind of became really close, and we started kind of our own separate little roleplay server where, I built the entire map. I hosted the server. We did this thing for a few years. It was like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, he was doing it all the time, and he kind of did like most of the work. Once again, he made the entire server. When he would roleplay like every single one of the townspeople. Like he'd be Monster Kid and Caddy and Chara and everybody all at once.
Well, yeah, so essentially I was kind of like the game master of it, if you will, the GM.
Yeah.
Because they mainly just had 1 or 2 characters that they liked to play as, and they didn't really care to be anyone else, so I thought, I guess I'll be everyone else.
Yeah, cool.
And that's part of the reason why the townsfolk are so prevalent in Delta Experiment, is because these are the people that I had to work with. But essentially, that's how Delta Experiment got started. Is we had this kind of idea for a daily life, sort of slice of life roleplay where a bunch of different things happened, and it went on for a long time. A lot of different stuff happened. I really wanted to chronicle it somehow so that it didn't get lost, because I felt like there was a lot of interesting things we had come up with. So that's where the first draft of Delta Experiment came in. It was just a little thing where I was saying, oh, this happened in our thing, and I'd like to show it to some people. Then things kind of started to go south, where the friend group that I was with, we kind of ended up falling apart, and there was a big falling out, and so the project was scrapped. And at the time, I felt a big distaste for it, because things happen.
You associated the project with feelings of negativity because of that fallout then?
Yeah, certainly. It was not on the best of terms. Let's just put it that way.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh yeah, it's all right now. It's been a few years since then. But essentially, Star is a big part of the reason why the project came back to light, is because through all this roleplay stuff, she was kind of away. She was on a trip, and she came back after a few years, and we kind of started talking about Undertale stuff again, and we started talking about, sometimes I would mention some of the things that we did in that role play, or things that I had done that I was kind of proud of and thought were still kind of cool. And she was always very excited to hear these things too. And it kind of it made me realize that there was a lot of good material there that was mine and no one else's. It was something that I had come up with, and that I didn't have to feel sorry for, or feel like I had to get rid of all this stuff that I had kind of poured my heart and soul into for so long, simply because of a bad experience. So we started configuring the story, figuring out how everything will work, cutting out the bits that I didn't come up with because I didn't want to be disrespectful to the other 2 people. And that has now become the reboot of Delta Experiment, where we have a much clearer story to tell, a lot of really interesting themes to explore, and we're going to have a lot of fun along the way.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a very unique story for the origin of a fan comic, I think. I don't
Oh,
think I've ever
certainly.
don't think I've ever heard anything like that. And obviously there's obviously a degree of sort of disappointment that you've associated with the first try, the kind of the role play element that you guys were engaged with beforehand.
Oh, certainly. It was not a great experience.
How did you overcome that?
A few different ways. Part of it is once again because Star came back home and we were very close.
Yeah, we're super close as siblings. We love working together. We love coming up with ideas together. And so I also am the type of person to like want to finish projects, like always, always. And so I kept thinking like, he should really finish this comic. The comic's so good. And he was like, no, it's not that good. It's not that great. I'm like, there's so many good things though that you've come up with. Like you can't just let it fall by the wayside.
Yeah.
And you have good ideas too that add a lot to the story. Driver Person was your idea. So
Yes,
oh my
I
God.
take.
Yeah, I was freaking
I
out
take
earlier.
full credit.
The river person.
I'm-
Oh my God. Yeah, fantastic. Sorry.
Yeah,
for
the
those who
Driver
don't know, the River Person is the bus driver of the school, and they go by Driver Person. Just take a D and put it in front of River,
Amazing.
and they sing "The wheels on the bus go tra la la," and it's quite fantastic.
Oh man.
So,
Yeah.
but you know, a big part of that is Star. Many a night has been spent. Actually, it's kind of cool because our room that we stay in is very similar to the room from Deltarune, where on the one side of the room there's one bed, on the one side there's another, and we have some glow in the dark stars on the ceiling. So many a night has been spent just talking about characters and what they can do in Delta Experiment while looking up at these little starlights on the ceiling. It's a very fun experience. Another part of kind of getting over that bad experience is just time, though, because you kind of hindsight is really illuminating sometimes, and sometimes when you're out of something for a while, you can kind of look back and see things for kind of how they really were, and so yeah.
Absolutely. That's wisdom. That is. I mean, I don't imagine there are many people watching, and myself included, who enjoy such close creative connection with a sibling, I guess. Crumbs, like
I feel very lucky.
yeah. I mean, you've mentioned that you guys are very close. How did that come about? Was it through the same interests, or was it through both kind of having the same hobbies?
Honestly, kind of all of the above.
Okay.
I'm older than GonerBoy. If
Yep.
people don't know that already. I'm a few years older. But GonerBoy, just as a young child, just always loved playing video games.
That's true.
And so he got me into the video gaming scene, and we would just kind of play video games together. And like while we were playing, we'd like do funny voices for the characters, and like so many hours are put into doing that, even still to this day. I mean, we
It's
made
true.
a video like yesterday doing that exact thing.
Yeah.
So even though like he's the youngest one in our family, you know, he's younger than me, we always just spent a lot of time together because we liked the same things and we'd always play together. And so I guess it just kind of came from that. I mean, we're all close with our siblings, so
Oh, yeah, all
I mean,
four of
part
us.
of it's a personality thing, but the other part of it is we all like the same things, the two of us.
I mostly credit Star being the most kind and patient human being on this planet Earth.
Awesome. That's such a unique angle, and I'm super happy for you guys. And you've talked about how the series, I apologize, isn't huge, but it has a following. Like it's important to kind of acknowledge that, and it really is
Absolutely.
something. Yeah, go for it.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, I mean, let's kind of change focus. We've talked about who you are, how you've created the partnership that you have, and the fact that you feel like it's really improved in quality. Maybe it's worth talking about that briefly. Like, you feel like chapter 3 is where the series has really picked up. Was that an intended thing? Was that a byproduct of you becoming more confident in what you were doing? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, that's a good question. What do you think, Star?
I think part of it is that we kind of planned it out this way. Like, we have kind of chapters planned out, and we kind of felt like the first chapter needed to be set up, and the second chapter, we had this character that was going to be introduced, but that would really start to shine in chapter 3.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of it is that, we kind of planned for chapter 3 to be like, this is where the story really starts to get good.
Right. All of chapter 1 and 2 is set up for chapter 3. And chapter 3 kind of begins the arc of the whole rest of the series, really.
Yeah.
But in terms of the artwork and writing, chapter 1 is kind of a mess, if I'm being honest, where I was not super great at or confident at doing line art. A lot of the poses are really awkward looking, and a lot of the, it's in full color, which is the one thing that's going for it. But, I wasn't very happy. The dialogue boxes are sloppy, all that sort of thing. It was the first comic I had ever made, and so I was figuring all this stuff out on the fly. But chapter 2, came a change in style where it was taking way too long to get through chapter 1, and we had so much stuff planned that we didn't want to spend, years and years and years doing all this stuff, that I thought, well, we have to cut some corners. So chapters 2 started with like a sketchy monochrome color style, where there was no more clean lines, there was no more full color, and it didn't look bad, but it didn't look great. And so, but it was a lot quicker to produce, and so we got through a lot of content really quickly. Over time, I kind of started adding these things back in, where it would add a few more color tones, kind of go back to doing the finished lines. And now that chapter 3 has started, it's kind of found, I feel like, a very unique style where there is a very limited color palette of, I've chosen 5 colors. There's black, white, and 3 kind of gradient colors in the middle that change depending on the scene. It kind of reminds me of a Game Boy Color kind of aesthetic, actually, which is kind of cool. But the lines are fully done. Chapter 3, honestly, is the one chapter that I can look at and say, some of these pages look really good. And I'm very happy to be able to say that, because for most of chapter 1 and 2, I've just been like, okay, this is close enough. Okay, this looks kind of meh, but it's just to get the point across. Chapter 3 is where I feel like it's really hitting its stride.
Very cool. Very cool. And I suppose a potentially important follow-up question is, I mean, it sounds like you may look back at the previous chapters of this with a bit of a critical eye. Do you think that's fair?
Most certainly.
Okay.
Stark can attest to that.
Yeah, he's always not necessarily putting down his art, but like a little bit. I like to look at it with an optimistic point of view, like, hey, look, you did so awesome. And Goner's more of the, but I could do better. Oh, but this could have been better. Oh, I could have drawn this better.
It's usually stuff that happened in the past, though. Like, usually the stuff we've just completed, I'm like, yes, this is good.
It's true.
It's only later that I look back and I'm like, I wish we had done this.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking as somebody who's edited videos before, you might not remember. You might not remember this, but I actually have. But yeah, I remember the kind of high of having finished something, getting it out, and being like, yeah, this is something I made. Woo! And then with time, one of two things happens, right? You either look back over this stuff, the thing that you've made, and you start noticing the things that didn't quite go as you had hoped, or the things that you maybe didn't see when you were working on it, and you were like, oh, I should have seen that. But you could look back over it, some time having gone by, and be genuinely entertained and think, oh man, this is cool. did I make this? Wow, this is good. And I'm glad to say that a load of the work that I've done for TwoAllNighters falls into that latter category,
Oh, that's great.
which is awesome. But I guess I can relate, Gunnar, to your critical eye. But I guess it is important to understand everything that you've been talking about, right? It's the first comic that
Right.
you've ever made. You were learning loads of stuff, and almost panel to panel improvements would certainly have been happening. And I think it's important to sort of important to recognize that, isn't it? Cool.
For sure.
All right. So I mean, at some point, I usually ask, what is the big break? Obviously, Delta Experiment is the project that you're working on right now. Is there a particular part of it that you're proud of? I'm asking that, and it's kind of mean of me too, because, spoilers might be a thing, but yeah, I guess
I don't mind too much.
You've mentioned chapter 3. Is there a specific element of the work you've done in chapter 3 that you're particularly proud of?
Yeah, I mean, Star, what do you think?
You always turn it to me.
Well, I want to give you a chance to participate because I feel like I talk too much.
No, you're good, dude. I mean, you're like the main creator. I'm just kind of there to help out in the background. Let me think. In chapter 3, in terms of like writing, I really love there's a moment where Chris is talking to Frisk and Azrael on the playground, and he pulls out a knife and he says, I have a different game we can play. It's called Stab Your It. And basically he chases them around with a knife and tries to stab them. Honestly, we've had that concept so early on, and it's been one of our favorite things to talk about. And like, oh man, I'm so excited to get to the part where we get to stab your it. I'm so excited to show people stab your it. Like it's just kind of a random concept that we've always had.
You were excited for a specific joke that you just had from day one.
Yes, basically, absolutely.
Yeah. That's super cool. Oh my god.
The other thing that honestly I'm really, really excited for is actually this last batch that happened and the next one that we're working on currently, where right now in the story, we're introducing Noelle's mother, Carol Holiday, and she is an incredibly important character throughout the whole thing. And kind of seeing her introduction, getting to understand how she works and how she thinks, and how her relationship with her family is, as opposed to Toriel's relationship with her children, in the context of this human child that's been found and taken in, it's going to be really fun to explore and unpack all of these things. This is where chapter 3 is where the drama of the story begins, where chapter 1 is just kind of establishing the characters and the setting. Chapter 2 is kind of a little thriller adventure, but it's kind of just for funsies. Chapter 3 is where things get serious, or at least begin to get serious. And so, yeah, chapter 3 in general is probably the big break of the series for sure. And if you are someone who doesn't mind out of context spoilers or something, I'd highly recommend picking up either or looking briefly at some portion of chapter 3, and then if you want to, go and read the first 2 chapters, simply because I feel like there's been a jump in quality.
Yeah, of course. But then again, the earlier chapters, even if you are looking at them with a critical eye, they still kind of set the framework. They still set the scene and introduce the characters, and that's all important.
Absolutely. It's not like you should skip them, certainly, but you should read them. But if you don't know what Delta Experiment is and you want to get an accurate vision of kind of what the comic is about, I feel like picking up or seeing an example of chapter 3 will give you a more accurate idea of what it's trying to convey than for instance, some random batch in chapter 1.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked a lot about you guys and the project that you're working on, and that's awesome. If I could ask like a couple more generic questions connected to the fandom as a whole.
Yeah, no problem.
A question that I've been asking everybody is this. Basically, I want to take you back a couple of years, and I'm in Leicester in the UK, and I'm having a walk with Brian Wolfric VA, who's one of the voice actors who's done work on TwoAllNighters and Bonely Hearts, and he's also, one of the kindest and sweetest people you'll ever meet. And we were talking about how cool it would be to do a regular stream on TwoAllNighters with content creators to answer the following question. So having hyped this up, if it ends up being a real 5 out of 10, it's going to look terrible. Anyway, so there's a balance to be made, isn't there? As a creator, you want exposure, you want growth, you want people to see the work that you're producing. At the same time, you have your own ideas. So you guys have been spending the last year, since August of last year, about making this regular episodic fan work of an existing IP, Deltarune. It's on the screen behind us. You've injected your own personality, flair, creativity into it. That is what great fan works do, to enhance the original, to add depth to the original. And I believe that you guys have done that.
Thank you.
You've also talked about how you've had your own ideas, your own characters, your own stories. I guess, how do you balance creating stuff that you want to bring, the stories that you want to tell, against creating stuff that you know is going to be popular?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah, it's a very good question.
Gonna have to think for a sec.
Of course. And obviously, you guys have achieved a degree of success with Delta Experiment. And I do wish you all the best. I do believe it has the potential to be far more popular. You mentioned earlier on, like Paper Trail, right? That's one of the exemplary fan works. But
definitely.
I'm very fortunate.
A huge fan of Paper Trail.
Yeah. But I'm very fortunate to be part of this fandom, because lots of people create lots of brilliant work, and reading yours has been one of them, right? I put it in the similar sort of category to those works that you were talking about earlier. So I don't know if that encourages you or not, but
I'm very flattered.
Yeah, thank you.
I feel like when it comes to things that should be popular, I feel like a lot of it has to do with, when it comes to Undertale, it has to do with portrayals of certain characters. Where especially Sans and Papyrus are very, very popular, but also the fans have a very particular way of expecting how they act or things that they want out of these characters. And we haven't introduced Sans and Papyrus yet into the story, which is kind of crazy for an Undertale comic, going 3 whole chapters and not having Sans and Papyrus in them. But that's kind of part of the reason is that they're going to be important to the story of Delta Experiment, but they're not by any means really a focal point of the series. I feel like the most important thing is to do something that you think makes sense, that you think fits with kind of the idea of the character, while I guess just the main key is not to disrespect how other people might interpret the character, but I feel like everyone's allowed to their own interpretation, and if your version of the character is slightly different than someone else's, I feel like there's some room for creative liberties there. Introducing Sans and Papyrus is going to be really interesting, because I feel like our versions of them are a lot more comedic focused, as opposed to the dramatic side of Sans that people tend to see in these comics. But I feel like that's going to be hopefully refreshing for some people.
It's true. It's pretty interesting because, kind of as we said, we've talked a lot together, and so we've come up with a lot of ideas. The thing is that we're kind of mapping out the story as we go, and we kind of have a lot of ideas planned already. So a lot of people, for example, are like, you're a Deltarune comic, so where's Susie? Where's Rouse? And we're like, just wait. We'll
just
get there when we get
wait.
there. Exactly. And so you know, what would be popular is to just have Susie and Rousey and make a comic maybe about them, or kind of like Goner was saying about Sands of Papyrus maybe, or
Hmm.
but we kind of really have this story that we want to tell that is pretty cemented in our minds at this point. And so as
Certainly.
much as we want to do what's popular, we aren't necessarily, but we're doing
Yeah,
it for the good of the story that we're trying to make to please this fandom, if that makes any sense.
certainly.
So,
Honestly,
yeah, go for it.
no, you can go for it.
I was just going to respond to that by saying, so almost you're kind of ticking both boxes. You're producing a work for the fandom, but it's also your own idea, it's your own vision.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, what we're really doing is just saying, I really like this character. I feel like this character is cool and would have a good role in this story in this way, and then just kind of doing it. Honestly, I don't think there's been a single moment in Delta Experiment where we've thought, let's add this in here solely because it'll be popular. Maybe that's not true with like a couple of running gags.
Mm.
Like a car guy is kind of a running gag that's become a joke in the Delta Experiment little Discord. But I don't think there's been any like major character decisions where it's like, oh, we're gonna ship this character with this character because it'll be popular. Like that's not really a. I don't feel like that's really a consideration that's really gone into it too much,
No,
at least
not
on
at
my
all.
end.
Mm.
It's mainly just how can we send this message, and if this character is kind of a tool to that end, then we can do so to them as kind of we see fit. But yeah,
Very cool. Thanks for that. That's
because
yeah.
I feel like if you sorry, I just keep
No, go for it.
blabbering on about this, but I feel like in general, when it comes to creating a story, if it becomes a big aspect of it to try and please the audience, that I feel like the audience as a result is probably going to end up being less pleased, just as a simple rule of thumb. Maybe that's not true, but I just feel like it should be more about the story itself and about the message that's being tried to be sent.
Yeah. Have you guys heard of a YouTuber named Jenny Nicholson?
I feel like the name is familiar. I feel like I saw it on a post somewhere.
She does long
Yeah.
form YouTube essays. She released a video a few weeks ago that was almost 3 hours long on a really obscure vampire TV drama.
Ooh.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So like, what's the target audience of that? It's still going to get lots of views because she's hugely popular. But she did a piece a year ago about the brony sort of
Oh, yeah.
subculture, and that fell foul to exactly what you're talking about, right? The creators of My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic got led down the garden path a little bit by their fans, who were a completely different demographic to what anyone was expecting, and
Right.
the show ended up suffering for it.
Dang.
So yeah, really really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
That's going to be an interesting case study.
Yeah, totally. I'm going to send you the link to the video because I think it's really interesting. Like, as somebody who's been... Undertale fandom is arguably the first real fandom I've gotten this deep into, with the exception of maybe Star Wars, but it was more of like a... That wasn't a communal thing. It's just I happen to know every single planet in the Star Wars galaxy because I'm a crazy nerd.
Right.
But,
Nice.
but like, the Undertale is the one that I felt connected to the community through. And
Right.
comparing it with the MLP stuff is actually like, oh, there's lots of common threads here, which is interesting. So I'll definitely send that to you later.
Yeah.
A couple more
My
questions
little
because
it's kind of crazy.
yeah, totally. But a couple more questions. One more on the whole creativity thing. Comic dubbing. You are an author of a comic series, so you've been approached by kind of YouTube comic dubber creators. Talk to us about like what your feelings are. How do you feel about comic dubbers as a concept and the ones that you've been kind of talking to?
Well, first off, you, GonerBoy, were the first one to like reach out which says
Yeah.
something because you really wanted this comic to be dubbed.
Yeah.
Oh, right. It was that way around, was
So
it?
I actually haven't been approached by any comic dubbers, so I don't really have much experience with that. I feel like it's very very flat. It would be very very flattering. I've been approached by a couple of people who said, "Hey, I want to dub your comic," and then they've never dubbed the comic. So I always tell them, yes, please do. Just provide a link to the comic, sort of thing. There have been a couple of people who have made some comic dubs in Portuguese, of all things, which
And
is
they're amazing.
yeah, they are. It's pretty cool, but in terms of actual English comic dubbing, I when chapter 1 completed, I went, "Hey, Sans Comic TV, this is a comic.
Yeah.
What do you think?" And got basically no response. Went to a couple other comic dub channels, got basically no response. Went to TwoAllNighters, got a very positive response. And now there's been a teaser of their dub that's been released. I don't know if it's still in the works or if there's other projects that probably come
Yeah.
in, but
No,
it's very
you got to bear with us, obviously, because
oh yeah, no problem.
yeah, I think Blair's been learning lots of new sort of editing techniques in the last few weeks.
Oh yeah, no problem at all.
But yeah,
I'm just flattered that someone would care enough about the project that we're making that they'd want to put that much time and effort into it, into kind of making it come alive.
oh, that's really cool. Wow. Because I guess comic dubbers often kind of straddle a bit of an awkward line of like ownership, because it isn't our own. The images on screen aren't our own content, but the voices and the editing and the kind of sound design and all that kind of stuff kind of is. So yeah. I don't know.
It's like it's almost like when video games get ported. Like you kind of have to like remake the thing, or if like a movie's getting remastered, like they didn't make the movie, but they added all these effects and remastered the entire soundtrack, sort of thing. And so it's like there is an element of their own personal individual creativeness that goes into it.
Yeah, but so I don't feel like infringed on any way. Like it only feels like it's there to like enhance the original content, by only adding music, sound effects, and voices. It just kind of brings the comic more to life, I feel like, which is why we really wanted to get somebody to dub our comic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Sorry, I didn't quite realize it was that way around, so I didn't. Yeah, I would have assumed that lots of people would have been interested. But yeah, okay. Oh, yes. There are two more little elements. Thank you for bearing with me. We're getting to the end, and as a reminder, everyone who's watching, we will be jumping onto the TwoAllNighters fan server and playing probably Gartic Phone. Like there was some enthusiasm about that. I've never played it before, so we can definitely give it a go. But yeah, before we do that, crumbs. Let me look at the list of questions again. Advice. Oh my goodness. You guys are in the midst of a really productive sort of spell, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
What's your secret? How would you advise people who would want to create something like a comic? How would you advise them to sort of manage all of that? Because you guys are obviously doing it really well.
Oh, thank you. Star, what would you say?
Honestly, I feel like just to jump into it, because I feel like the hardest step is the first one, where you're not sure what to do, and you're not sure if you're good enough, and you're not sure, there's a lot of doubts that can kind of come. But I feel like if you just kind of take that first step forward, because I feel like me and Goner, we really like we like a lot of comics and things that are really like mainstream and that are really well done. Paper Trail is a great example. But yeah, of course. And that's just naming the Undertale ones. But there are a lot of things that we like that are more kind of simplified, that, it's by, one or two people that's not known at all and that we still really, really love. So I feel like anything can be good. So just put your stuff out there.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I think a big part of that also is that, once again, things will improve as you do them. And so, honestly, making comics for me has been, honestly, the biggest thing that has improved my ability as an artist at all in these last months since I started the series has been rebooted. And so I like when I started the series, I was very much not satisfied with the artwork, but in chapter 3, I'm honestly proud. I think that a lot of these pages look really good. Not every panel is perfect, obviously, because if every pork chop were perfect, we wouldn't have hot dogs or something like that. But
Yeah.
if every panel were perfect, we wouldn't have outtakes. But no, but just doing something. I feel like, honestly, doing a fan comic is a good way to start, simply because it's something that people know. It has a low barrier to entry, and it's something that you can practice on and learn how to make your own original content later. Because we do have some original content we want to make, but if we had just started with that as opposed to with Delta Experiment, I feel like we would be in trouble.
Yeah.
It's a learning experience, and fandoms and fan creations, fan comics are a great practice, I feel like.
Yeah, totally. Like you're almost viewing this as a opportunity to develop your skills, so that and also a fan base, right? So that by the time you do create your own thing, there'll be sort of interest in it.
Exactly, both of those things.
Cool.
And so, like, there's a little bit of like original stuff in Delta Experiment, like, the Gaster followers are an example of that, where we've taken these 3 characters who are basically side characters in Undertale and kind of fleshed them out, turned them into their own people, and they are a little bit popular among the people who like Delta Experiment. We've gotten some people who really like them, and that really just makes my heart swell. And I know Star probably feels the same way.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so, like, you can put little things that are yours that people will grow attached to, and then maybe when you make something else, they'll say, oh, well, I liked this thing that was made by this person, so might as well check it out.
Very cool. Very cool. And it's a path well worn, right? I mean,
yeah,
we keep on referring to Lynx Griffin, but obviously Lynx Griffin created a pretty successful original story.
Yeah,
having built the kind of momentum with the fan stuff. So yeah, very cool. All right, I need to find a save point. Man, how do I get out of the cell again?
Oh yeah, I think it goes into a sequence.
I will take.
You just gotta like look at everything
Yeah, like...
and then go to Rouse. It'll go to Susie, and then after that, she should let you out. But yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting distracted by the game.
That's no problem.
Cool. So there's only one more thing to do. One more thing.
Ooh.
And that is, well, back when this was a series mostly for voice actors, I designed a bit of a tongue twister, a word of my own design. Ooh. And got each of my guests to read said word. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump onto Discord. Where are you guys? In VC chat, you will find...
Okay. Star, do you know where to find that?
There you go. A word of my own design. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Dob Nobble Challenge. And... oh, hi, Pastor Guy. The Dob Nobble Challenge, the word is in the chat. Read along with us back home.
Oh, dear.
Cool. So,
do you want to go first, Star, or should I?
Read the word. I mean, you've been asking Star to answer questions first all evening. I think it's your turn to go first.
All right,
ladies and gentlemen, GonerBoy completing the Dob Nobble Challenge. Go.
Do I have to say it fast, or can I just say it?
Go!
Okay. Incredible bedibble dribble drabba dabba dibble double dubby dub nobble is the
Whoa!
That's how it's said.
That's really good.
That's unbelievable! Wow!
Thank
I
you.
don't think I can do as good.
That's ridiculous. Star, you got the second. You got
talent that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
Saying these words.
That's impressive. Star, it's your turn.
All right, here we go. Incredible, badibble, dribble, drab, babble, badibble, double, dobby, dub, nubble.
Nice.
No,
An
awful.
admirable.
Dibble, dibble, dribble, drabba,
dribble.
drabba, dabba, dibble, dobby.
He always was like good at like really big words, and
Yeah.
I would suck at that sort of thing.
I
But
feel like I could get this if I practiced it.
I mean, you got it pretty much perfect the first time, so yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
yeah, seriously, that was impressive.
That was very
Yay.
impressive. Anyway, I'm gonna find a save point at the in the game, and then we're gonna. But I tell you what, let's finish the stream now. I've run out of things to talk. I mean, we've had such an incredible conversation. It's gone well over an hour. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, there's really cool insights into fan works and your creative process. And can I just say, a brother and sister partnership that is producing such a great thing it just seems to me I've rarely seen it. It seems really rare to me. So, thank you. Well done. Keep up the great work.
Thanks so much.
Hashtag we support you. Really.
Thank you.
Thank you. That means
yeah.
a lot coming from you.
Oh wow. Well, okay. But thank you so much. And for everyone in chat, thank you for watching. I didn't notice any major questions in the chat during tonight's stream. Thank you so much to Pasta Guy for joining in. The Pasta Guy runs a series called The Determined Podcast. That's been going for over a year now. Do check that out if you've enjoyed The Fandom Lives. Similar sort of vibe.
Very good podcast.
Yeah, very good podcast. And with an excellent team member, I'm told.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The joke is that GonerBoy is actually on the team. Anyway, cool.
There he is.
Bless you guys for watching. We will see you very, very soon. If you want to come and say hi, we'll be in the TwoAllNighters fan server playing something. Probably Gartic Phone, if I can figure out how it works. I'm sure it's fine. But yeah, you two can join us, or you don't have to. It's really up to you. I know that you guys are crazy busy.
Yeah, we might have to go, but
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's
have fun,
fine.
everyone.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Well played, everybody, and see us next time. Our next stream is on the 10th of July. The 10th of July. Would be a 2-week jump, but it's going to be a 3-week jump this time. Thank you for understanding about that. And yeah, 8 p.m. British summer time. I don't know what time that means where you are. You're going to have to Google it. And yeah, thank you for watching.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful evening. May the force be with you. And remember, the fandom lives.
It's a lie!